Hello everyone and welcome to my guide on my top 5 ways to maximize profit in the game House Flipper 1. Now I do want to let you know we're going to utilize the garden DLC for the first tip, however the base game will be fine for all of the other tips that I will cover in this video. Also, this doesn't necessarily apply to every house. For example, if you're redoing an apartment, you're not going to have a yard, so therefore you can't use the first tip. Also, we're going for efficiency over aesthetics because we just want to put in the bare minimum effort to get the most money possible, so that way we can move on to more fun and larger projects such as building custom houses. So let's get into it.
Alright, so the first tip is going to be the garden contest. Now this, you do have to have the garden DLC for this game in order to do the garden contest. But once you have the garden contest accessible to you, it's going to be one of the easiest ways to unlock additional profit in pretty much every property. Now there's 5 different categories. There's American, crops, English, modern, and Japanese. So probably the easiest category if you just want very low effort is going to be American, probably followed by modern garden. Crops is going to be just planting a bunch of vegetables. English, you do have to do a fair amount of structural and flower bed work to pass with a good score. And I mean, Japanese is also pretty easy, but I would just stick to the American garden or the Japanese garden just to have the easiest time. So as you can see here, what we're really doing is we're just cleaning up all the grass out of the lawn to prepare the house. And then what we're really just doing is we're selling miscellaneous junk. You might find a lot of miscellaneous junk in the yard. And then we're laying down some mulch. I like to start with a square border, and then what I like to do is then use the circular tool to create better flower bed shapes. So as you can see here, that's what we're doing. We're just building a base, then we're filling it out a little bit. And really, that way we have a concrete area like where we're going to put the flower bed. And I don't mean like concrete literally in terms of the ground. I just mean like at least we have our edges, our border. And so then what we're really just doing is we're picking up plants. We're putting down plants. I mean, obviously it's a process. I have this sped up quite a bit. So I'm putting down like some needle plants, put down some flowers, and really what you're just doing with the plants, you just kind of look through to see what's an appropriate height that looks good with what you're trying to achieve. There's a lot of different height plants. And then because we're doing American garden, for this example here, I put down a pool, put down a drill, you put down some patio furniture. It's everything that you need for that category. And then, doing some additional paving, some additional outdoor area. That's what we're really doing here is laying down a little patio. Gonna build, some furniture for the pool. As you can see, things don't overlap, so we gotta constantly adjust. That's one of the things you really have to pay attention for, is just constant adjustment when you're redoing things in this game sometimes. So as you can see, we lay down some path, putting out that pool, just building a little area. And then of course, once we are all done with this process, as you can see, I've tried many different plants until I got the effect that I was going for with the layers. And then don't forget lights in your garden. A well-lit garden does add to the score. And then we put out, some additional furniture. And then once we go to sell this house, in the screen here, you can see it says an additional, 32.5%. And that's a pretty big amount. As you can see, the additional was almost $40,000 extra just gained from doing that. And so really with the garden competition, what your main goal is you just want to throw some plants down. If you're doing American, put out a drill, put out a pool, and you just want to, you don't really have to go as in-depth as I did. You can really get by with just the minimum for the garden contest. So that'll be our first tip, is always do something with the outside of the house for the garden contest. So our second tip to make extra profit in House Flipper is going to be saunas. A sauna really raises the value of a house. And a sauna it's like a steam room. It's something that you'll find more in European houses than in anywhere else in the world. But it's a great way to add value, and you've got 2 different ways of adding a sauna to a house. The first one I'm going to show you here is where we are building an entire room just to be a sauna. So, we're putting down wood ceiling, wood floor, wood walls, and you can really go with, any type of wood, any color of wood. It's totally customizable. And then we're just going to type in sauna into the store tab. We're going to find those benches. We're putting sauna benches down. You have to put one of the sauna coal heaters in for it to count. Now, I think the only things that you really need in order to get it to count, you just got to get some form of heater. You have to have a couple sauna benches. I don't really know that the walls necessarily have to be wood for it to count. You can experiment with this, but for the sake of the visual aesthetics of the house, I just like to do that. Now, of course, the visual aesthetics doesn't necessarily matter to the buyers in House Flipper 1 as much as House Flipper 2 that I found. So when you're doing this, you can try to go for minimal effort, of course. And then the second sauna type is that there is already a pre-built shower stall that comes with a sauna in the store. And of course, we're just going to put that down in the bathroom, and you don't really have to do anything extra with it. I mean, obviously you have to have a lot of space in order to put it there. It does take up quite a bit of space, and you cannot have any ceiling lights existing already above it. But once you build it and install it, it counts as a sauna, and it's great because you don't really have to do any additional work. So in terms of low effort, that might be your best bet. And so putting a sauna in, it can help with the prices as well for certain buyers. But even if you don't get one of those buyers, it still does add a lot of value to the house. So our third tip to add value to house is by adding storage. This can take a lot of different forms. So first, as you can see, I'm adding garage shelves to garage, just plopping down a couple of garage shelf units. That already adds a lot of storage. More storage is more appealing to a wider range of buyers. As you can see, I'm putting down some solid bookcases now. Solid bookcases are great. You can have a lot of different bookcases. Here we've got some file cabinets. Sable obviously wants to say hi in this video. So here we're putting down some extra bookshelves. You really can't go wrong. Just put down any kind of storage that you like, really, and that'll increase the value for the buyer. All right, and our fourth tip to add profit to the house is going to be decorations. Now, this is a pretty broad category. It can be plants, rugs, art, sculptures, accessories. You don't have to go overboard on this in order to meet the minimum requirements just to get some extra money out of buyers. You can be really simple with this. You can just lay down just a carpet, a couple plants, and it'll probably be fine. So as you can see in this example here, that's exactly what I'm doing. There's a carpet, there's some plants, we're putting down some photos, some paintings. Really doesn't matter. You can just pick whatever you feel like and just plop it down. Really just a couple of items increases the value. Like I said, you don't gotta go overboard, just one or two things. I mean, here obviously we're going for above and beyond because that's our third photo and putting some statues down. So doing all of that, like I said, the bare minimum, just pop a carpet and plant down, and that'll increase the profit. And I mean, obviously the more fancy, the more decorated it is, the better it is. But for the topic of this video, we're really just focused on profit and how we can increase the price to get even more money out of the buyers. So that's all for the decoration category. Like I said, just put a couple of items down. That'll count as the bare minimum. So our fifth and final tip here is cleaning. I mean, I understand that could be stating the obvious, but I cannot stress it enough that cleaning really, really, really increases the value of a house. Now, thankfully, in House Flipper 1, we have the mini map, which shows us exactly where all dirt is once you rank up your skills enough. Now, in addition to the obvious items, for example, we have dirt here. In the garden DLC, we have those molehills you have to get rid of. You have to pick up anything that looks really crappy that isn't a trash item. Just use the cell tool, get rid of it, get it out of there. Cleaning also includes windows. So as you can see in this example here, we are cleaning the windows. If you do the whole house and you miss the windows, that doesn't count as a being fully clean. So you have to make sure that you do get those windows. And again, you may end up using multiple cleaning tools to clean. So you may end up using the vacuum, the mop, selling stuff, throwing stuff out, all kinds of things. And then another example of cleaning that I do want to go over, in addition to cleaning your windows, is going to be using the plaster bucket. So anytime that you see walls that look really bad like that, just search in the store for plaster. You're going to get out the plaster bucket and you're going to plaster those walls. Fully repaired walls adds a lot of value. And then lastly in cleaning, we're going to go over some gardening and some yard stuff. Now, the reason why I don't have this up in the first tip with the gardening is because in this part, we're just focused on the cleaning. So again, we're cleaning up everything in the outside. We are pulling weeds you can see on the map. If you don't want to pull the weeds by hand, you can use the lawnmower. Obviously, we've got these piles of dirt here in the garden DLC, and we're shoveling that out of here. If you use buy and do sell and flip the Christmas houses, they have snow piles, same mechanic. You're just going to pull up the shovel and you're going to shovel the snow out of there. But yeah, we got to get rid of these molehills. You're shoveling those too. Like I said, really, you can either just mow the lawn, you can pull the weeds by hand. For example, on some of these properties, make sure you're checking for graffiti on the far fences. Not just this property, other properties also do have outline graffiti that you want to check for. Personally, I just find mowing the lawn to be the easiest to get rid of the weeds. I mean, you could pull them all by hand if you really, really, really want to, but for the sake of being efficient, we're just gonna mow everything down. And really, that's all that there is to the cleaning. Thankfully, like I said, we do have the mini map, but with cleaning again, make sure you're checking that mini map, you're getting everything, you're mowing, repairing plaster, and just using the appropriate tools and actions as you come across them. And don't forget the windows, because uncleaned windows do count against you. So our final category in this video is going to be honorable mentions. So this is some things that I wouldn't necessarily rate as the top 5, but there's still valuable ways to increase the profit. So of course, the first honorable mention goes to adding extra bedrooms or bathrooms. As you can see, just placing a bed or like a shower and a toilet, it'll count it as a bedroom or a bathroom. You really don't have to do very much in the first game to get it to register as that type of room. And adding extra rooms that are either bedrooms or bathrooms really increases the value. So you should always go for that whenever possible. For the bedroom, it has to have a bed in it for it to count. Obviously, for bathrooms, it does have to have a toilet, a sink, and a bathtub or a shower. You can have both, but it does have to have at least one of those in order to register as a bathroom. And then the next category that we're going to include is going to be the gym. Now this, you may have to play around with the items that you're placing to get it to count. So for example, we've put out, a little bike, we've put out some wall bars, we've put out some weights. I do find that you have to have at least one exercise machine and at least one wall bar for it to count as a gym. But this is a little bit tricky, and you may have to end up placing more or less items than you think for it to count. We've also got indoor pools. These are really great and really easy. You can just pick the smallest one. You can put it in the basement. You don't have to do anything special. It just counts as a pool then. And these are really great. I mean, obviously, who doesn't want to have an indoor pool in their house? And it counts as a lot of value. So really easy to place. You don't really have to do anything special to get the pool to count as a pool. Obviously, it's whatever room you put it in, it's going to count as that inside pool then. Yeah, I think that's about it for this category. Of course, I've been showing more than is needed because we're going for overachieverness in this house. So again, the maximum amount of designated rooms you add, such as bedrooms, bathrooms, gym, swimming pool, anything you add really that'll benefit the house. But the biggest increased profit is always going to be extra bedrooms and extra bathrooms.
Alright, and that is our top 5 ways to maximize profit in the game House Flipper 1. I hope that you enjoyed this guide and found some of the information useful for yourself in your gaming experience. And if you'd like to read the written version of this guide, I do have it under the same title as this video, under my profile of Gothic Cat Mom on Steam, and it will also come up under guides under the House Flipper 1 page. Alright, see you in the next video.